Let's start with the prophets alayhim salam and ask ourselves, were they immune to mental health difficulties? The prophets, yes, they were the best of all of creation, but as humans, they also experienced grief, stress, and other emotional difficulties during their prophethood. There are many examples where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself experienced intense sadness. One of them was a year-long episode of bereavement after the death of his wife Khadija and his uncle Abu Talib. His grief was so intense that historians coined this period of time of his life Aamul Huzn, or the year of sadness. And earlier in that same year, there was a social economic boycott placed upon him and the early Muslim believers that contributed to the stress that would exacerbate his year-long struggle with grief. Then, take the example of Prophet Yaqub, Jacob alayhi salam, who suffered from a prolonged period of grief after the separation from his son Sayyidina Yusuf or Joseph alayhi salam. The Quran describes Jacob's sorrow that eventually led to the weakening of his eyesight, and according to some of the scholars, even potentially blindness altogether. In Surah Yusuf we read, وَابْيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْحُزْنِ فَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ, that his eyes turned white out of grief that he suppressed. And in the Quran also, it speaks about the importance of managing your grief and coping with stress. In the following ayat, for example, it highlights how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam experienced physical and psychological health were really affected by the care and concern for those who opposed the message of Islam. فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ إِن لَّمْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ أَسَفًا. O Prophet, will you grieve yourself to death over their denial if they continue to disbelieve in this message? And so then he was instructed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَلَا تَذْهَبْ نَفْسُكَ عَلَيْهِمْ حَسَرَاتٍ. Do not grieve yourself to death over them, O Prophet. So in these examples and many others, we see that, like us, the prophets were not immune to psychological and emotional difficulties.